I went out on this course thinking, he's gonna have to dig deep, and he's a little bit of a lazy guy, if he likes to go on hacks and relax and sleep and eat. That's his thing about life. So I was a little concerned about if he was going to be able to really handle the course, and then he jumped everything great. He was really strong. He was on his minute markers. I had a bit of a blonde moment, shall we say, coming into 11. I thought that a turn and the mound up would give me the half halt, and I was trying really hard not to use my hands.
Yeah.
And he saw the combination, and he was like, "I got it, Mom!" And I'm like, we gotta slow down, there's a C. And so he just jumped the AB and started to gallop off to the next fence. And so we had to kind of try to be clever, but unfortunately I crossed my tracks in my effort to get back to the C. But other than that, he still only had 8 time faults, even with that little blip.
Yeah.
And he felt phenomenal. So he's only 15 too. So for him, that's a lot of ground to cover, and he's got to jump a little bit higher and go a little bit faster than all the other horses out there.
Yeah.
But he's a little pocket rocket. He's really fun.
How did the course compare to your expectations?
It was a true fair hill course. I think it's always deceiving when you watch the first couple riders go, because that's usually, the riders that have multiple horses, usually the top professionals. So they always make it look like a novice course. But I think when you got into the meat of the class, you did see horses that were clearly tired and horses that struggled. Not so much that the questions were too difficult, but answering all of those questions within an 8.5 minute course, I think is where it was tough. But I think this course was really fair. I think it built upon itself so that by the end, you were either on it or you weren't. So for me, I thought it was a really good progression and a really good question for the level.
What preparations did you do for this event, and how did they help you?
So I have to have a friend of mine, Sabrina Morris. She actually got to the track, and so she was critical for my fitness, because working full time, I always can't get out to the barn every day to spend an hour doing conditioning work. So she actually helped me condition the horse, and so we do that with him once a week. But he's got a lot of track jewelry, so I have to, it's a fine balancing act. He has his TheraPlate at home, he has all of his other therapies, but I can't run him too much, because then, he just gets a little too sore. And actually we didn't have the run-up that I was hoping for, because he's had shoe issues this year with how wet it's been.
Yeah.
We had to reroute to Morven, which we were the very last intermediate horse, and it had rained and it was muddy, but that actually ended up being a great preparation for here, because again, it wasn't so much muddy, but the footing was a little chewed up in some places, and Morven was a really, really good test run for today.
And I know you said you got him from New Holland, so how has it been bringing him along? Like your expectations and then what he's become?
Honestly, when I tried him, I was like, he's homely looking. He's just a plain chestnut. He's got this giant shoulder and big butt and short back. Maybe he'll be a nice beginner novice horse. Maybe I can teach him lessons off of him and then resell him to a junior. And really, it's just been, every time I've asked him to jump a little higher, he's risen to that challenge. Then every time I asked him to gallop a little faster, he's risen to that challenge. Now we're gonna look at blue numbers next year, and it's he owes me nothing, and he's just been really fun. It's been tough trying to figure him out. It's my first time having a thoroughbred up at the levels, trying to figure out his maintenance. But other than that, he's a phenomenal little horse, and he tolerates me. He rolls his eyes at me all the time, and it's I gotta deal with my mom making mistakes again.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy.
And then how do you think your students will react? You teach history? Your history students.
Oh yeah, so all my kids, they all think that I'm a jockey.
Of course.
They all think I'm going to a race.
Yeah.
But they do usually around the holidays when our classes are kind of a little chaotic with, breaks coming, I do let them see some videos. A lot of them do follow me on social media.
Yeah.
So they do kind of get a kick out of their history teachers jumping some big fences and doing some horse stuff.
Yeah.
They all, tease me about it, because they think the dressage is silly, and what we have to dress up as is ridiculous. But they're pretty impressed, I think, that their old history teacher knows a thing or two about horses, and they really like that they can Google me and find stuff about me. They think that's really cool.
Yeah. And then lastly, how are you feeling heading into show jumping tomorrow?
I used to love show jumping, but show jumping last year actually, In August, I fell off this horse and his stud went through my foot and pulled out a bone with it. So since then, I've had a couple show jumping demons. So I'm really hoping to put them to rest tomorrow. But as always, show jumping at a 3 days tough because you're doing it after the cross country phase. You've got a totally different horse. And so this will be kind of the first test of when I get to jump this horse after a really solid run to see, you know, how we can kind of both come together. But I've got a game plan and hopefully I can execute it.
Yeah.